only have one camera. We've switched to one camera tonight. Um, yeah, sorry guys, but it'll you'll have to make do with what we're providing.
I'm sure they don't have any issues, you know.
Yeah,
At
I'm
the end
sure
of the
it'll
day,
be
they just
fun.
want to see the both of us.
Exactly. And yeah, if you're listening to this, you probably would have heard part one already, where we had a very good chat, Cayllan and I, about I guess how it all started for yourself.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, as a young little boy growing up in the good old Port Moresby, and then how we met,
Yeah.
and then what you thought of high school in PNG, in POM, at going to Joey's,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I guess we want to sort of move past that and go into what the transition was like. I know in the last ep at the end there we talked about how like difficult it was back then, leading up to your grade 12 exams and
Right.
not knowing if you might be able to go into the university you wanted to get into.
Yeah.
And we spoke about St. Joey's being a successful school, in that most kids that were going there had quite good scores, high scores. So there was probably a bit more of a chance to get into a better university, because
Yeah.
you had Joey's on your certificate. So yeah, let's touch on that, and obviously what uni life was like for yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I know I sort of touched on it a little bit when we chatted over the weekend, but yeah, going to school at Joey's was good, and then come grade 12, national exams, you're always, like, I gotta say, the teachers made it very, they put a lot of pressure on you, and like, to make it seem like that was the end all be all sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
If you did well during your exams, you're guaranteed a spot in uni, that sort of thing. And everybody went in with that mentality. Like, looking back on it now, I sort of should have taken a different approach to it, and like, other people that maybe in that situation now, like students these days, like, personally I feel like uni wasn't the end game. Like, there are so many other opportunities out there, so
Yeah.
many other routes you can take, that sort of thing. And like, but I'm not taking anything away from that. Like, in that time, like, I'm talking as if like we're ancient, but like, wow, wait, that was
It's
about
not-
10 years ago,
yeah,
actually.
it
This year
is.
would be
It's a
like
decade.
10. This year would
Yeah.
be 10 years. Yeah.
So still, that's a decent amount of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. Like, back then, that was one of the only ways to sort of, if you did well, obviously you'd secure your spot in uni, right?
Yeah.
So I gotta say, like, back then, you had your school leaver form. You gotta fill out like what course you wanted to sort of stream into, come uni, and like make your preferences and that sort of thing. And I actually never even filled out mine.
Oh, okay.
I gave it to my dad, and
Yeah.
then he pretty much like selected everything that I like, my first choice, my second choice, and my third choice. Like, back then, you only had 3 choices.
Yep.
Nowadays, I think they give them more options, like, and you can stream into different schools like later on. I'm not too sure, but I know that this time around it's a lot more flexible
Yep.
than what it
Okay.
was back then.
So like you can do business and
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't just like restricted to one sort of stream, right?
yeah.
And and like, when you're doing your exams, that's at the back of your mind. You're thinking about, oh, once this is over, am I gonna get a spot or not? Right? And everybody's like, couple months down the track, once you've completed your exam, like, nowadays you can look online, like they've got a portal online or something, so you can look at that.
You can
But-
check.
Yeah. But back then it was just a newspaper.
Oh,
So, like,
bro, I remember that.
Yeah. So you gotta get up every morning and then
It's
sort
a
of
bit
go.
stressful.
Yeah, have a look in the papers, and it was very like nerve wracking, because like we had the papers, like they would sell the papers just right up the street from us.
Yeah.
So like almost every morning, like you'd go get the paper because my dad always read the paper every day,
Mm.
right? So we'd always be guaranteed like a paper every day to sort of have a look through, see whether you've made it or not, and like.
But so the paper had like other kids like their grades and stuff.
Not necessarily the grades, but
Oh.
if your name appeared in the paper and the
Oh.
school, and then it would have like
Your score.
the not the school, but the school that you would go into, like school of business, and
Yeah.
then it would also like
So
sort of-
it'd be the university.
Yes.
And if your name was underneath that
Yeah,
university, that's
yeah.
where you were accepted.
Yeah, so
Oh,
like
okay.
UPNG would put out like a full listing of all the School of Business,
Yeah.
foundation year students that got accepted, or all the School of the Sciences, everybody that was accepted in their foundation, that sort of thing. So I had only applied like all my three choices were to UPNG, right, which
Yeah.
was the what should I say, premier university of PNG. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I was pretty lucky. Like, I won't lie. Although it was pretty nerve wracking, like thinking about whether you get into uni, like it also
Yeah.
comes back to you. Like, if you know that you've put in the time, the effort, and you know that you've actually like sometimes you go into an exam and you do an exam, you know you've done well. Like you've got that feeling,
Yeah.
right? And if you prepare well, obviously you will feel pretty confident. Like, I wasn't too overconfident, but I would say like I did prepare well enough to have at the back of my mind that at least I would get selected for one of those three courses that I wanted. I essentially put in my school leaver form, right?
That's good.
Yeah, so I did have that. Like, my first choice was economics, which I was selected for it, like in the end, which was pretty relieving.
Yeah.
But personally, like going into that, like I did study it, like in grade 12, 11, that sort of thing. We
Yeah.
did like stream and then study that like specifically.
Yep.
So I did know what to expect,
Yeah.
but once getting into uni now, it was just like a totally different ball game. Like,
Economics in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole different beast.
yeah, like I didn't know what to expect,
Yeah.
especially going to uni. And I think back then, we watched a lot of movies, and then our perception of what uni was like was very different to how
What
it
it
is in,
actually
yeah,
is.
in PNG. Like, I mean, probably overseas, that sort of thing, it is a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, you do have extracurricular activities that you can focus on, groups, that sort of thing. Like, actually, this time around, I think they're doing more of that.
Yeah.
Having more groups, like, it's not just work all the time. You can actually get out and do other things.
That's good.
So you don't get too like focused on just that uni life. It's kind of like when you get into the workforce, that work social life balance as well.
Yeah.
So when I got into uni, I was sort of, I guess my expectations were a little bit too high. I mean, no disrespect to like UPNG and how things were there, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a real culture shock for me. And going to an international school, you sort of expect things to be done a certain way.
Okay.
And then when
Wow.
you get into uni, it's very different.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is the supposed premier university of PNG, right?
Yeah.
And you expect things to sort of flow a lot better, things to be a lot more easier for you, like resources, like. And when I got there, it was just it was pretty chaotic, right?
Wow.
My first year, I actually boarded, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, it'll
You
be
stayed on campus.
yeah. So I was put on campus, right? And
That would have been an experience.
it actually was like, I mean, a lot of people, they've got the main campus, and then on the other side of the uni, they've got what they call, I'm not sure if it's still there, but it's called the International Village.
Okay.
So it's for like students that come from other countries, they stay there. Like,
Like Fiji or
yeah, but most of the guys,
Samoa.
yeah, but we never really got a lot of those.
Yeah.
It was more like the Solomon Islanders, right?
Oh,
so they
okay.
stayed on that side, and I was put up there too, and they put this, well, from what I heard when I joined, was the people that got put up there, like the locals that got put up there, were supposedly the high performers, right? So you get first preference to stay in a somewhat more luxurious, secluded type of dormitories,
Yeah.
compared to the ones that are in the main campus.
Yeah.
So I took that as like, oh wow, that's pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in for a pretty good time, this sort of thing, right? But I get there and it's like, honestly, I think my expectations were definitely a little bit too high, right? You know, I should have lowered it a little bit, but like,
So what was the room like?
like it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Okay, like you had your beds. Obviously, you had to bring everything. They would just give you a mattress.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a pillow. I think one pillow. Yeah.
Okay.
But then it was very small.
Yeah.
So and then
okay.
obviously you shared with somebody else. And
Oh,
like,
you did have someone else in your room.
Yeah, and because I was a freshman too, so you're not entitled to having your own room. Apparently, that's just like a final year, third year privilege or that sort of thing.
Makes sense.
So I shared with somebody else, right?
Yeah.
He was a good roommate though.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Skill.
But then I guess it was just not what I expected. Like I said, watching too many movies, expecting a very different type of lifestyle, that sort of thing. And then, from what I was used to what I actually got there was very different.
Yeah.
So it caught me off guard, right? But then that part I sort of just like assimilated over time. I got used to it, like that's how it was, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then like things, for instance, going to the mess, right? To go and eat.
Yeah. Breakfast, lunch, dinner?
But I barely went for breakfast.
Okay, yeah.
Because one, it was a little bit too early.
When was breakfast?
Oh shit!
Like
when
6
opened?
or something.
It opened. I think the mess actually opened around 5, and then like it would close around 8.
Oh, what?
But they would be pretty strict. Like if they don't,
if you come past 8, you're
not getting in. You're not getting in.
Right.
And like they had our cards. Like ideally, your ID card, you should be able to go in and then tap it, and then it opens. It allows you in, right?
Yeah.
But that machine was broken.
Oh.
So like you can't really tell if somebody's been in there so many times in the morning or in the afternoon, that sort of thing.
What?
So like you could have people going in for first. Second. I mean, not that.
Coming and going.
Yeah, I mean, but when you're in there, you can eat as much as you want, right? There's nothing stopping you with that.
Oh, can you? Like they're not standing there like policing. Like,
I mean, you should be able to do it, but how I noticed was they did do that.
Yeah.
But then in theory, you should be able to go back, right? If you want some more, you should be able to go back. But yeah, it wasn't really like that, and quality wasn't the best. The quality of food.
Yeah.
There were times when I guess on the weekends they did put in more effort, and
Like example, what? Like give us a breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay, I can't really give an example for breakfast.
Oh, why?
Because it got to a stage where I brought my own fridge, so a mini bar fridge.
Yeah, so you've made your own breakfast.
Yeah, so I was thinking,
that's right.
Fuck, I mean, I can't say it was me because I had no money back then, but I mean, I would go tell like mom and dad to give me like cereal.
Yeah.
So I'd have cereal and then milk in the fridge, that sort of thing. So I'd just eat that, right?
Yeah.
And obviously that was a lot better than what I heard would be there. I mean, they'd have the normal stuff like eggs.
Oh yeah.
Bacon and stuff like that. But those are good times. Those are good times. There are times when you'd barely
it was baked beans or something. Nah.
Oh,
that's good.
Yeah, no, baked beans too was there.
Hey,
but then
still.
But then it was I guess it was just not maintained properly, right?
Oh.
Like and then lunch would be somewhat okay. Like good times you'd probably have like, they probably have minced meat, and rice, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Come dinner time now was always hit or miss.
Okay.
You'd either get the really good stuff like
it's really bad.
Yeah, like sometimes they'd go as far as making like obviously it's not the best pasta, but it's still pasta, right?
Yeah.
And that was good. And then other times you just get like how like you're cooking for a lot of people, so you just have like you make the biggest pot of like chicken stew or something, but it's not really flavorful. You get what I mean?
It's like uncared for chicken.
Yeah, it's sort of like like watered down. Even if you put as much salt, it would just it won't really make a difference. It'll just
dry.
be very salty, but it won't be flavorful, like that sort of thing. And it was kind of tough.
Oof.
Wasn't so like okay, maybe I'm a picky eater. I probably am a picky eater, but a lot of people that were there, they were grateful because
They're getting fed.
Yes, you're being fed 3 times a day. You know, they've come from very far. Just like I've heard a lot of stories like of people that I went to uni with. Like, I had it pretty easy. Like,
okay.
You know,
they were on scholarships or something. And came from, like outside centers.
Yes, exactly. Like, I mean, for us, it's kind of easy because we went to an international school, so it also had that sort of waiting out, like when you're getting selected, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if you're coming from a very rural high school and you make it this far, like that's big, like
huge.
This is that's a real achievement, right? So you know, I never took anything away from the experience, because obviously it makes you appreciate what you had growing up, you know, that sort of thing.
That's it.
And it also like
wise words.
Yeah, and it helps you look into like to empathize with others, eh?
Yeah, the lens. You're looking through, you know, their lens.
Yeah, exactly, their outlook of how life is, right? So I was very like, I was very empathetic. I would really
grateful.
Seeing it from somebody else's point of view, like how, and then really appreciate like what my parents did for me to get me that far. Like a lot of them, they had to travel so far just to come to uni, and then even that's not guaranteed like your future, right?
You might not get a job. You might get a job in Palm. Like it's very it was very uncertain, and like I was very fortunate when I was in uni with the course that I studied. When I had just joined, the economics department went into partnership with the Australian National University. So all our lecturers, all our content, everything came from ANU and wasn't a UPNG curriculum. Oh wow, that's so
like,
good.
Yeah, we were exposed like, and it was the timing couldn't have been like better.
Like, so you got videos,
everything,
lecturers,
all of them came from Australian National University.
Oh wow.
And then the content too, like before, from what I heard, all prior students that took the same course, it was very broad, like what they were being taught. And although the content was somewhat okay, it had been like recycled year after year after year.
So might not have been relevant
exactly, right?
Today's
And then these new guys that came in, like they were like, I have nothing against like I'm not sure what current lecturers are like, but like back then, these lecturers that came in and like taught me, they were so enthusiastic, like so charismatic, like they made you want to learn, right?
Makes a big difference.
And it does. And every time they would come into classes, like we would look forward to it. And then like everybody was performing highly, like it was really, I wouldn't say it was unheard of, but like it was different. Like I didn't expect something like this to happen, right?
Which is amazing.
I know, right? And then they open up all these like different doors to opportunity. Like till this day, they keep renewing that relationship. So now it's still happening till now.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because I'm glad they didn't just like
just do it and then leave after a couple of years, right? Because they saw like the turnover was really high with everybody that came out of the particular field that we all were in. Everybody was like 90% of us were getting employed like as soon as we graduated. Even before we graduated, we've already got job offers. Like that's how good it was. And like they even offered every year they take one student. I'm not sure if it's 2 now, but back then it was 1 fully paid scholarship to ANU to do your masters in economics. Wow. So like one of my good mates, he was my senior in economics as well. He's gone and done his masters. He's come back, and then now you have to give back to the uni for a couple of years before you can sort of go into like the private sector, that sort of thing. And like, man, they get like the brightest of the brightest. Like it's insane. And I was like so fortunate. Like that was one of the good things about that I really appreciated when I went to uni here. Like I could have got that same education abroad, and it would have costed me so much more.
So true.
And then I was just fortunate enough to be at the uni at the right time. For them to be there and give me that same standard of education, but like you're paying a fraction of the amount of the tuition.
And I mean that's just also like kudos to you, because like you've grabbed the opportunity with both hands and
Bro.
you know taken it the whole way. Whereas you know a lot of people would have just probably taken it for granted and you know either dropped out or
Yeah.
maybe not have been interested. And but you've definitely like
It's,
done well in that area, and then I mean you can see it now.
Yeah, it's one of the things that like when I look back to, because I wouldn't have picked the course myself if I had if I had filled in my own like
Yeah.
school uniform.
Yeah.
But I guess my dad sort of knew where the trend was and where people were sort of lacking in that department, in that sort of field.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing good about studying economics is like you're pretty versatile. You can work in like almost
Yeah,
any
because
industry.
it's a mixture of finance and business, right?
Yeah.
And understanding the
Yes, and it's like everything you look at when you look at things, right? It's sort of like an out of the box sort of look. Like you don't just look at things from how they currently are, but you can sort of like take a step back and sort of see the big picture.
evaluate.
Yeah, and it gives you like, it's not like you're focused from one angle only, and that sort of clouds your judgment or how you make decisions, that sort of thing. But it allows you to sort of look at the big picture and like the holistic view, and obviously that opens more doors and gives you more answers and like that sort of thing. So it's interesting, and but it was fuck. I don't know how like people do it. Like I think back to how it was back then, and I don't know how it got through like 4 years of many of the things. Like it's sad to say that I don't apply many of it in like my current job and the role I do.
Well,
Like-
that's like a lot of people.
Yeah, like
a lot of things we studied like hardly are
Hardly,
used.
yeah, exactly, right?
Everyday work life.
and it's kind of disappointing because I've also got mates who finished off in the same field, but then they're like like working for the Department of Treasury, like in the economics division. So like every day they use what we've learned, like in their daily job. So
they actually
yeah,
they walk and talk it, live and
yeah,
breathe it.
pretty much.
Fuck.
So like obviously I envy that sometimes. Like you would want to, at the end of the day, use what you've learned fully,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But man, those are like probably 4 of like the hardest years.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it
just-
would have been. I can imagine. Just
many of the things were just so. It was like fuck. If you didn't, honestly, if you missed the class, you'd fall behind. Like that's how it was. Like you can ask for notes, you can copy notes, that sort of thing.
yeah, but still,
But if you miss the class,
because you just won't wrap your head around, you
Exactly,
won't understand it.
right. Everything is linked, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the things I think back to, I'm like, how did I do that? To this day, like I look back at some of my notes, and I'm like, holy shit, I used to be really smart like that. Now it's like bare minimum 20% of what I've learned, like I apply now, but.
Yeah.
Oh man, but it was definitely one of those times that made me really like cherish going to uni here in PNG.
Yeah.
And really just appreciating the small things.
Yeah. Okay.
And it pushed me, like, take for something so small as, because I stayed, back then, like we're still, family house is still at Boroko, but uni is all the way in Waigani, right?
Yeah.
So you can imagine that commute. And I didn't drive back then.
Yeah,
For the
that's a
first
long
couple
commute,
couple of years of uni, I wasn't like a confident driver. And on top of that, it's like nobody's gonna drop me off at uni every day. Fuck
Yeah.
that, driving that to and from there, that's like too much money.
Especially in traffic.
The traffic is the worst, right?
Yeah.
So it pushed me to like, fuck, I gotta get my license. I gotta like figure out a way, like ask dad, like, can I borrow your car, like at least once or twice a week,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
How can you make it work?
Yeah. So like it made me go to that length. Like if I wasn't going to uni there, like I wouldn't even go to the extent of probably getting my license or even trying to look for ways, because that sort of drove me to like think, oh, uni is not, well, obviously everybody knows uni is not the end game, but
Yeah.
I was like, I need to get like a job right after uni,
Yeah. Okay.
because it also made me realize that I can't keep asking like for money every time I want something, right?
Yeah.
I want to be able to like, oh, if I want that, I just want to go
get
pay.
it myself. Yeah.
So I hate
And that's actually like, but that shows on like how mature you are as well, and also in your thinking, because a lot of people, they wouldn't be thinking like that. A lot of people would just take a step back and be a bit comfortable and be like, I can keep asking for money.
Exactly.
Like, I don't need to go and do it for myself.
Yeah, right.
So there's that opposite outlook on it.
Yeah.
But it just shows, you know, where you were as a person at that time speaks so much about, like, you know, who you are.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's one of the things that I guess at that time to everybody, well, nowadays, like you'll notice, like millennials, right? They don't care so much about financial stability. They're all about job satisfaction.
Yeah.
So they don't care if you pay them a lot. If they're not happy, they'll leave, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, in our time, it's about financial stability.
Oh yeah.
And you need to find a job, you know. You need to ensure that, you know, bills are paid and that you have, I guess, the bare minimum, right?
To be able to, you know, go and socially do your thing. And
exactly. And it's like, and that's sort of also one of the things that drove me, like, each day when I was in uni, like thinking about, oh, down the line I got a couple more years. Like, if I was in second year, like, I got a couple more years to go, and then I'll finally get a job. I can, like, you know, go out whenever I want, or do this and that, right? And throughout uni, I think the only time when I truly ever really asked for money, apart from when, you know, travel costs, and when I was in first year, I did have to get, like, a lot of money every now and then for like food and toiletries, all that sort of stuff. But after first year, I realized I'd save a lot more. Well, not me, but I'd save my parents a lot more money if I just didn't board. Yeah. And then I commuted every day, right? Yeah. And then on the flip side, you know, if you're on a scholarship program, which I'm lucky I actually was. Yep. Majority of your tuition's covered, right? And then almost 80-90%.
That's so good.
So I wouldn't have to, like, burden them so much in having to pay tuition, like, every year, right? Yeah. So I guess those were, like, some of the things that got me through uni and made me, like, work hard every year, and thinking obviously about the future, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be constantly depending on them, right? No. For this and that, and
they've already done so much.
Yeah, exactly, right. And I look back to, fuck, how much money.
Joey's.
Yeah, bro. Like, and it wasn't
not
cheap.
No, it's not.
And especially, like, it's not like I'm an only child too, right?
Yeah.
So I think back to it, I'm just like, oh.
You just do the quick math and those figures pop up in your head. You're like, shit.
And I'm just like, this day and age, that type of money is worth nothing. Like, back then, at least you could do a lot with it, but now, fuck.
Cost of living.
Bro, it's gone up significantly,
yeah,
right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I can't wait to get out of uni. I can't wait to get my first job. Yeah. Get my first paycheck, you know, that sort of thing. I know. And that's what sort of made me, like, not bored for the rest of my uni life. Yeah. So, like, second, third, fourth year, they did give me a room in my fourth year, my final year, but then it was at the Games Village, you know, where all the international... Yeah. So they started, like, using that as accommodation. That's good. Yeah, like, it was okay, but, bro, it was so... The thing that made me not go there was, like... somebody...
Bathrooms or something.
No, bathrooms, everything was good, like, washing was good, and they had, like, you know, the timer showers. Obviously, you can't waste as much water. Yeah. But
just then press them and it keeps coming out.
Yeah. But they only had two extremes: really, really hot water or really, really cold water.
No.
Well, you can't switch in between. But like that, so some guys, right, would come out and use the hose, the fire hose, emergency hose. Bro, they'd be using it during the day.
Skin.
Right, it was crazy.
Fire hydrant. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And like
silly.
Another thing was, I had a room for my final year. It was a single room for myself only, right? Yeah. I went in one Saturday morning to go clean it.
Yeah.
So it was given to me free, not free, but because like the over the years, how much the uni owed me had built up that I wasn't using from the scholarship. So
Yeah.
they had to give. They were like, we can just give you a room free for the year.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
I went in to clean it up one Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
There was somebody still in there.
Oh.
Right, and
What?
I was like, because nobody was in there, like in the room, but his stuff was everywhere.
Yeah.
I was looking through the stuff, and then I was like, okay, maybe he just left and forgot this, so it needs to just be thrown out.
Yeah.
So I just left not a note, but a piece of paper I just put on top, so if anybody opens the door again, it'll fall. You
Yeah.
know, so I just set a little trap, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, fuck, I ain't cleaning this room if I know somebody else is here. It's like I'm cleaning it for him.
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, fuck it. So I left it and I went. And then I came back in the afternoon, paper was gone.
Gone.
It was gone, and then some stuff was cleaned up, so I knew, like, oh, there's somebody
Someone's
living
here,
in here.
yeah.
And that kind of just, like, threw me off, like, what if I'm in there and then somebody comes
Yeah.
in? And, like, why haven't student services gotten back, like, properly taken, check the person out, right?
Yeah.
And got the keys back in it. How does he still have a key?
Mm.
Anyway, so that's sort of just like, fuck, I was like, nah, fuck it, I'm not even gonna bother boarding. Because by then I was already driving, so I was just like, fuck it, I'll drive to uni.
That's so annoying.
And like, it was like a free room, eh? Like,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I wouldn't have boarded, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
because the walk from there up to where, like, my lectures were.
Yeah. Is it
like,
long too?
Yeah, it was a good, like, 500-600 meters or something. And the sun, there's no
Sun
shade.
out there.
Bro, there's no shade.
Yeah.
Back then, there's no shade. It's like dust, sun, everything on that road all the way. So I was like, nah,
Skindo walking.
I'm not doing it. Not worth my time. But come graduation, that was one of the best times.
Yeah.
When you know it's finally over. What's that?
Just the other video that we were
No.
loading has seemed to fail, but that's alright. We're nearly
Are you sure?
done with this app, so I think let's leave the viewers with some final words from yourself. Like let's give them, some wise words to finish off the app.
Well, think some wise words. I'm not one to give much advice,
Yep.
but yeah, at the end of the day, if you know what you want, right, and you're willing to work hard for it, then I don't see why you can't achieve it. Like, that's honestly one of the pillars that I sort of live by, right? Like, if I want something, or if I need something,
Yeah.
I don't tell myself it can't be achieved, right?
Ooh,
And then you just gotta go for it. Like,
love that.
life just throws so many curveballs. Can't. I'm still trying to like fucking. Oh man, I'm not where I want to be, like, in my life right now. It's one of those things, like, I guess everybody has different goals in life, but yeah, if you want it as bad as you think you do, then nothing should stop you. Right?
You'll go get it.
Exactly. It's right there, and you gotta. There's been so many times, honestly, I can't remember how I've just told myself and just spoke it into existence, right?
Yeah.
And it's happened, like, it's crazy, but then I know people probably look at me and think like, well, I don't know what people think, but I would assume that, not many people know. Well, obviously the people close to me, like, would know that, like, your faith plays a big part as well, right?
Definitely.
And that's another thing as well. Like, recently, obviously, I haven't been, when you get so busy with work, you sort of stray away from that life. But
Yeah, of course.
at the end of the day, gotta give it back to God. And
Amen.
and that's how we were brought up, right? In a Catholic school,
Exactly.
and on those principles and yeah, on faith. But like I guess two things: faith and hard work.
Faith and hard work.
Yeah,
That's it.
That's exactly what's gonna get you where you wanna be.
That's it, guys. Two simple
And I don't,
words there.
I don't
Faith
wanna,
and hard work.
I don't wanna sound like a, I don't want people who don't know me too well think I'm a hypocrite for saying this, because everybody's got their bad sides, right? But
Exactly.
but at the end of the day, if you're willing to put in the hard work and you also have that faith in God, then I don't see why anything's impossible.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, 100%.
Faith and hard work. Thank you, my brother.
Always a pleasure.
Never at shore.
100%.
Safe trip back to Pom, and we'll
Yeah.
see you soon.
Definitely when I'm back.
Thanks, guys. We're out.